I like it that everybody's laughing and we are all happy tonight.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
Yes.
Hello,
Hello.
Hi.
everyone.
Well,
How
how
are you? Oh,
very
sorry.
good.
I'm
No,
good.
Ellie, very good. How are you? You very excited today? You wanna
Yes.
intro a new face we have today?
Yes, because I want to tell you all, I am very happy to introduce to you to our very first guest, Belkis. Belkis, I'm so
Whee!
happy
Welcome,
to have you
Belkis.
here with us.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here and for inviting me to this wonderful new adventure and this new show. I'm very happy to be here and be part of this amazing group of women.
That's awesome. Balkis, do you want to give a quick intro to our audience of who you are?
Yes.
Yes,
So my
we
name
want
is
to know.
Belkis Fermin, and I'm a Puerto Rican with Dominican blood. So both of my parents are Dominican, and I was never speak any English until I came here to the United States.
Wow.
I still have my accent, as you can see, and when also have four kids. I have four daughters, four beautiful daughters. They all, professionals. I really work hard just to make sure that my kids have the right education, as I did too, because as I was like raising my kids, I was making sure that my kids were having everything they need. So I was juggling my job and even working hard. I managed to find another job just to make sure my kids were going to have everything they need. And I also, while working two jobs, I went to school and I finished my master's degree. So I was doing many things at the same time. So I
Oh
was
my
like a
God.
really working hard mom. And I accomplished what I
Yeah.
was like really, wanted for my kids and my family.
I have to tell you, I admire you, Belkis. I think I told you this when we met for the first time, but I admire everything you have accomplished in life. What you did with your kids. Now they are grown ups, but what you did for them and for yourself is amazing. And I would like people to know you, to
Yeah.
get to know you, so I know your amazing story and what you did to be here today.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with my first question.
Yeah.
This one is: can you share one specific moment where you thought life was the hardest for you? This phrase is very important for me because it was impossible at the time, but you made it possible.
Ooh, before that, can
Oh
I just
yeah.
add something? Because, like, to commemorate your story, like the quote we chose today and the theme of today's podcast is nothing is impossible. The word itself, I'm possible by Audrey Hepburn, and that's like the epitome of what Balk's life is about.
You know
And
something, for me, that was like what I have in mind all the time. Nothing is impossible. I was like, through my struggles, I was always like focusing on making sure that I accomplished my goal. My goal was to make sure that my kids were becoming professional as I did. And I was just like moving forward. Nothing was stopping me. But I have to also share that I'm a woman of faith. And I was always praying to God to really give me the strength and guide me through all the hardship that I went through, because it was not easy, but not impossible. And for your first question, when you asked me what was my first or my hardest situation, I can say that my hardest situation was when I was actually raising four kids. Just picture that on your mind, everyone. Picture that. Four kids,
no.
single mom,
On yourself.
no child support, no help from any government, no assistance, just one simple job. And
And
here
that's
I
why I
am
admire you.
trying to juggle raising my kids and
Mm,
making sure that they have everything they need. Okay. So for me, that was hard, but at the same time was not impossible because all I have in my mind was like,
Mm.
I am not going to allow my kids to have or be in the same situation that I am. And when I said that, is it was because I was not so lucky with, the two marriages that I have. And that's okay because, that's part of everybody's, or everybody has different
Yeah.
experience.
Mm.
And that really shaped me because, sometimes, when you have hard or bad experiences, sometimes you take those bad experiences just to make you like stronger and make you say, wait a minute, I'm not gonna let that bad situation push me back. I'm gonna
Mm.
Yeah.
use that bad situation to make sure I'm gonna keep going forward. I'm gonna make sure that my kids get equipped, that they, don't go through the things that I went through, which is, maybe not choosing right, or, not allowing the man to push me back because whatever situation. So that's the reason I was like definitely very determined to, you know, get and get motivated to just make sure that my kids were gonna have the best education. So my hardest point in my life was that, because
Yeah.
I never like to talk about bad situations, but in a way, I can say that that situation itself helped me and shaped me to be the woman that I am. And I know my kids really appreciate that
Yeah.
because my four beautiful women daughters, they always said, "Mom, we don't have words or anything else to really tell you how much we love you and appreciate
Oh,
everything that you did." And that's why they really listened to me, took the sacrifice that I did just to do what they know that I was sacrificing for them to have, so they actually accomplished that. So they're all professionals, so I feel so blessed because of that. But that was my
I can.
hardest, but also my best.
Wow.
Oh,
I hope that
Belkis,
answered your
that's
question.
awesome. Belkis, so I can only imagine trying to take care of four kids, and then from two marriages, like how, would you care to elaborate more about, like, what happened, like, why were the fathers not involved in their lives, or,
Mhm. Of
if you.
course, of course. So, when I first got married, my first husband, I was very young. I was only 17. So imagine I was 17, then I got pregnant. I didn't have the guidance because, we grow up with a lot of, bad situation back in Puerto Rico. So then I have my first daughter, and my first ex-husband, I don't want to go into details, but he did have a lot of issues, with, substance abuse and etc. So, I mean, I was determined, I'm not going to continue with this marriage. But again, I didn't have the guidance. And, it was a situation in which, I have to probably continue with him because I didn't have, no way to continue because I didn't have the support. I was just a young woman.
no, yeah.
I was a child basically because,
You were a
Yeah, you were a child.
teenager.
when I was raising my kids, when as they turned my age and I was already having a kid, I was like, oh my God, my kids are this age and they're enjoying being in school, being a kid. But I was already a mom when I was like 18. So you know what I mean? So it was just like the situation that I was in. And then I have my second daughter, and then it got to the point in which, my first ex-husband stole money from me. I was working, and that's when I came to the United States. I didn't know no word of English. He, on the other hand, he was like already grow up in New York, so he knew English. So
Oh.
he was actually taking money out of my account without me knowing. So that really was the drop that, culminate my decision. And I said, listen, I didn't came to this country. I was already here in United States. I said, I didn't came to this country uh to become, somebody that I'm not designed to be. So I'm actually gonna move forward in life. I know that you have your issues, but you stole from me. That's it. I'm not gonna wait until something else is gonna happen in my life.
Mm.
So I decided to divorce. and that was the best decision that I ever did. Unfortunately, he was not responsible enough. um he immediately went involved with another woman, and then he disconnect with his daughter. So it was a very difficult situation, knowing that sometimes he was saying to my kids, oh, I'm gonna go pick you up, and he never show up because then the other woman was
Oh.
like pulling him and saying no, or whatever the situation was affecting my kids. And it was so hard too as well, that I didn't have no words for his irresponsibilities, not only to be present in their lives, but also not being economically supportive. And, I was just working, and then I said, okay, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to do the best I can. Then I married, well, I met my second ex husband. My first one was Puerto Rican, and then my second was Dominican. So I have the two cultures too. That apparently I cannot get away with. Well, I said apparently, but I'm saying something else is gonna happen in my life better than that. Well, not better than that, because I don't want it to talk bad about that particular culture, because I really love my roots. I really
Mhm.
feel
Yeah, no,
so
totally.
so proud of my culture. But
No, it
my
was
second
those
ex,
two men in particular
In
only.
right,
particular.
that's in
That's
particular.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I get too excited, and then I have to watch out my words. But but my second ex-husband, Dominican, um this one was kind of different, because when I said different is because I began to experience domestic violence, and I actually experienced verbally abuse at the beginning of the relationship. And mind you, I already have two kids. Then I became pregnant with my third daughter, and then things were starting to get here and there, kind of like not normal. But at the same time, I didn't realize that until I went to the big situation. I don't know if you wanted you wanted me to continue to explain what happened, because I know that, Emily, you were going to ask me some stuff in terms of domestic violence or
Yeah,
signs.
only if you feel
Yes.
comfortable, because I
Yeah.
think the message behind is important.
Emily,
But
when you ask me if I feel comfortable about talking about my experience, anything that can help anybody with regards to domestic violence, I'm in it. Because you see, there's certain things that I know that nowadays everybody's more aware of things, and some people know about, what are the signs. Some people sometimes avoid them. For me, I was trapped, and that's one of the reasons that actually motivate me to continue my education, because I was feeling trapped in a way. And when I said trap, it's like, imagine I'm already on my third daughter, but I wasn't moving forward, meaning I wasn't not making enough money.
Yeah.
Because you see, he was helping me. So I have an extra income, and I was working, but I wasn't making the money that I want, just to be able to say, listen, no, you're out. But the reality is that many women encounter this type of situation, and when they don't have the enough strength, and enough money, they don't make enough money, they have to stick with whatever they have, because it's like you feeling like trapped.
mm,
So in one point of my life, I feel trapped because he was verbally abusing me. He was always, oh, nobody's gonna, pay attention to you. You have already three kids. Who's gonna pay attention to you? Oh, look at you. You do this nutrition. Oh, do you think nutrition is gonna? Because I'm a nutrition educator. I work for the university. So for him, he was telling me that that was nothing. Imagine that. This is a Dominican person, which I'm not saying Dominican because there's something wrong with Dominicans. No, I'm saying itself, he didn't have education, but he was telling me, which I was already educated, that I was not going to go anywhere, that I was not going to make it. And I'm like, oh. So I was believing those lies because I was feeling down. I was feeling, oh yeah, maybe it's true. And the
Mhm.
signs were, um, he was very insecure. I learned that later because sometimes when people feel insecure and they see the power within you, they feel less. So
Mm.
in order for them to feel bigger, they
Right.
had to diminish you.
Oh my
I
goodness.
will say signs are if they criticize you and they start saying things that are not according to a person that really love you, that's a red flag. So I did have those flags, but somehow again I was like putting it on the side because you see I was like in need, and then things got out of place, and then I got to a point in which after he started to really be very verbally abused, I said, you know what, I'm not going to continue with
Mm.
this. I definitely have to move forward. And I decided to separate from him, and I put a restraining order. And I don't know if you ever heard that sometimes the restraining order, in a way, in some cases it doesn't work. In my case, I feel it really make it worse because he was mad, and then he was following me everywhere, and then
Mm.
I was kind of afraid. And one night he entered to my place where I was living back in that time, and he said that he was gonna kill me. I didn't know that he was drunk, and he actually grabbed me from my neck. And oh my god, the divine spirit. The
Yeah.
night before, I have this kind of, I don't know what was it. It was like a voice that told me, move the knives out of this drawer. And
Oh
I
wow.
moved the knives out of the drawer. And guess what? That night he said, I'm gonna kill you. And he went to grab the knife and he couldn't find it. Isn't that
Oh my God.
amazing? God has a
Lucky
purpose.
you.
Listen,
Yeah. No, I have to tell
20
you, you
something
have a
years
God
later,
apart.
and I'm
You.
talking about this. Nobody knows about that. Everybody see me with the nice smiley
Yeah, yeah,
face,
yeah.
Yeah.
but
No,
I
that's what I'm
went through
telling
a
you. You have a
lot
God
of
apart.
situations. Huh?
You have a personal God for yourself because you did that not knowing what was going to happen to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And listen to this, there's more. When I managed, because my third daughter was a baby, she was 8 months. So
Oh,
all I was thinking, because I was already trained my other two oldest, I says, if anything happened one day, because we were living in a first floor, so they actually escaped from one of the windows. So
oh
all my
gosh.
thinking was I had the baby in the bed. So I went into the house to the back room. I pick up my daughter and I was running. So he grabbed me from the hair and he was trying just to pull me back inside the apartment. And all I was thinking, he wanted me to push me back again because he wanted to kill me. So all I was thinking, I need to save my daughter because I knew that the two oldest already were out of the apartment. So all the neighbors went, around and tried to, help me, but he was like 6 feet tall. Nobody could really, take him out of on top of me. So I fell the stairs. So he took my hair. He actually make a hole on my head. And when I keep running, I heard the cops. So the cops arrived. They found me without shoes, running with my baby. It was 0 degree, and he was running behind me. And all I was screaming was, "He wants to kill me!"
Oh my gosh.
And let me tell you, you probably will say, "Oh my God, how do you did that?" But I'm gonna go over to this explanation, and I talked to you guys about this. 2 days after, I bail him out,
We didn't
and
know that.
and
No.
let me tell you, the court knew that when women are in this situation, we have a tendency to feel sorry, and it's like a pattern, it's like a circle, because
Mm.
when you are experiencing domestic violence for so long, verbally, and he got into violence because he was never violent with me, but he got him 2 bottles of Johnny Walker to definitely get that anger out, and that's how he actually tried to kill me.
Ugh.
Uh, but then I was feeling sorry. I was feeling
No.
sorry for him. Can you believe that? So it took me to go to these classes just to make sure that I was going to get out of that cycle of domestic violence. And if someone that is listening to this podcast right now and you are experiencing any domestic violence, please find the help. Don't cover, don't feel that he's going to change. Don't feel this, don't feel that, because the pattern is there. Chances are he's never going to change. And it took me that class for me to stand up and say, no more. And after that, that's it. My life changed.
Yeah.
Because yes, I never get married again. I date, here and there, but
Yeah.
I'll never again. It's like if I even date someone and I see a little red flag, I said, that's it. I don't need that, because guess
Mhm.
what? I don't need that. I end up loving so much myself. I know myself. I know what I deserve. I know what I'm worth. And I will never allow anybody to really diminish me or abuse me in any particular way.
Belkis.
Belkis,
Oh,
I
go
have
ahead.
a question. You are talking about the classes that help you to realize everything that was happened to you and help you to move from that situation. Can you tell us more about the classes for maybe people that needs them? Where
Oh
can they
my
Yeah.
find
God.
them? How they found out?
I
Oh
was
my
going to
God.
ask the same.
Listen, about the classes, I wish I can tell you even more, but honestly, that was more than 26 years ago. I remember that they told me all the symptoms that I was having, like feeling sorry, or then feeling that I was the person that caused that situation to
Oh.
happen. So those are the little things that I can remember. I cannot go into specific details, but I remember that it took me weeks, and it's like an elaborated class that you have to take just for you to analyze yourself and understand that it was not you, it was not about you, that it was not your fault, you were not doing anything wrong. It's all about that person. And everything switched after that. Everything switched, because then I realized, I said, oh my God, he actually ended up going to classes as well.
Hmm.
Uh, the funny part was that we ended up not together, but we actually came across, and then I became pregnant with my fourth child, which I love all my kids. I love them. But then again, because he was so mad, he was never responsible again with his kids. And again, I end up with my four kids, which that itself gave me a lot of strength again to say, you know what, I am going to move forward. I am going to, finalize, and continue my education. And I'm going to definitely be successful. And I'm not going to let this defeat me in any way. So I definitely
Mhm.
did that. That's how I met Emily, because Emily and I, we went to our graduate school together. And she knows I was like, raising my kids, going to school. So
Yeah.
imagine that. Four kids, going to school, full-time job, a part-time job extra just to make, money.
Funny.
And I was studying, and, I was like a cum laude. Yes, I have good grades.
Yeah.
And,
You
Wow.
worked really hard.
and
It's just
That's
I
because
work
you
hard.
wanted to be.
It's not impossible.
no.
My mind was always do. You got this, you got this. Let's go. That's why I use a lot of my phrases. Let's go. You got this.
Mm.
Yes, I was definitely doing that, because that's the mentality that I have. That's what it really makes me go and move forward. I didn't have any time to look back and say, oh my God, poor me, oh my God, poor kids, how am I gonna do this? Yes, sometimes I cry, but I cry next day. Let's go. I got this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna definitely make sure that my kids are gonna have their education. I'm gonna just continue. So that was my mentality. The good thing is that It's not impossible. Look at me. If I can do it, I'm absolutely believe that anybody can do it. Nothing is impossible. All it takes is for you to have your positive mind, your willingness to do things, because you need willingness. It's not like it's going to happen like magic, like moving forward
Mm,
in your life with any goal that you set.
yeah.
You always have to have the willingness, the decision, the goal setting. And my goal setting was like, I'm going to bring these kids up. I am gonna move these kids, where they supposed to. You know why? Because I didn't want them to experience what I experienced. So my goal was, I want them to be able to be professionals. Therefore, they always work, they can make their own money. Okay, you can find whatever, but you don't have to be like stuck like I was in one point of my life. Do you
Mm,
hear that? One point of my life. That doesn't mean it's gonna happen again.
mm,
So you see, I was wanted to make sure that my kids also were equipped, that they can, and I was telling them all the time. Although for my youngest, with the situation with the domestic violence, I choose not to tell them until they were older enough
Yeah.
about that experience that I had, because I didn't want them to traumatize them.
yeah.
But when they were older enough, I was able to explain what happened and the whole situation. They couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. And you know what? That also helped them, because they have a beautiful life. They're all, by now, only one has a boyfriend, but the rest, it's not that I'm telling their private life, but they're very cautious.
Oh,
They're
I
they're very cautious. Uh, One thing they said, well, we don't want kids now because we know how hard it was for you, mom. And it's so hard nowadays. How can we bring kids, when this world is so difficult? And I said,
yeah.
you know what? When you have, your position in which you know that you can bring a child to this world, then you will do it. And guess what? That's your own decision. But
Yeah.
I'm so happy that my kids learn a lot from my experience, and
Yeah.
seeing my determination, because they know how hard I work for doing everything possible for them and for me.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you now, I can tell you I'm in a very good place, in which, look, I raise my kids, I still young, I'm
Yeah.
helping others, not only with this, personal situation that I'm sharing with everybody, but I'm also helping people eating healthy.
That was great. We needed those
Yeah.
details. You
So
go,
there's
girl.
a lot of good things that are coming, and
Belkis, we also have, both Ellie and Amy, they're from Argentina. We actually have a wide spread of Spanish speaking folks and audiences and listeners. Do you mind? I'm really empowered by your sentence about if you are listening to this podcast, if you are in an abusive relationship or something like that, you gave a really good advice. I
Yeah.
cannot remember the exact words, but could you say that in Spanish? Because I think that would be
of
so
course,
powerful, and I
Very
can learn that,
helpful.
of
Yeah.
course,
and I'll repeat after you.
yo
And
lo voy a repetir. Yo dije que si ustedes están escuchando este podcast, otra vez, mi nombre es Belkis Fermin. No sé si entendieron toda la situación que yo expliqué de mi experiencia como una mujer abusada. Yo empecé teniendo abuso verbal y eventualmente llegó a ser un abuso físico. Yo estaba diciendo que si ustedes pueden captar ciertos señales, una de las señales pueden ser cuando los hombres empiezan a disminuirte como persona, a criticarte, te critican tu pelo, te critican tu cuerpo, siempre hay algo que le molesta de ti. Eso es una seña. ¿Para dónde va? ¿Por qué te estás poniendo tanta pintura? Así me decía mi ex esposo. ¿Por qué tú te estás pintando cuando iba para el trabajo? Yo no lo captaba porque estaba enamorada, una, y otra ya tenía 3 hijos. Me sentía dependiente de él porque solamente tenía un solo trabajo y él también ponía, ¿sabe?, para el soporte de la familia.
Claro.
Esas son situaciones que a veces aguantan a uno y también no dejan que uno vea más allá. por favor, si ustedes empiezan a ver esas situaciones, no esperen a más, porque yo esperé y llegó a la situación que ni siquiera sabía que esa noche que él trató, que me dijo que me iba a matar, yo no sabía que él estaba borracho. A veces tú hay hombres que beben y tú no te das de cuenta, eso por favor, no esperen a lo último, porque yo pienso que nosotras las mujeres estamos equipadas de muchas cosas bonitas, nosotros Dios nos hizo con una capacidad increíble de hacer muchas cosas. Por eso es que tenemos que cambiar nuestra mentalidad hacia busquemos ayuda. Si tú puedes, sigue adelante y por favor, vamos a buscar más información porque yo sé que Emi me preguntó de todo el entrenamiento que yo tuve, porque yo tuve que coger clases para darme de cuenta que no era yo, sino que era él que tenía el problema porque se sentía inseguro y también él no estaba educado, yo sí. Entonces yo le llegué a creer sus mentiras. Por eso es que es bien importante que ustedes busquen la ayuda profesional porque tú tienes que salir de ese ciclo. Es un ciclo de abuso verbal y también físico. Así que sí se puede. Por favor, busquen las ayudas. Sé que vamos a tener otro programa en el cual vamos a hablar de cómo llegar a esa situación de coger esas ayudas y de seguir ese patrón de ya voy a salir de esta relación que me puede causar, inclusive hasta me puede causar la muerte. Así que
Sí.
por favor,
Pidan
Por
ayuda.
favor.
me alegro mucho que me hayan invitado y que yo pueda ser parte de cualquier ayuda con cualquier mujer. I'm super happy to be able to help. I'm actually coaching always my kids. I don't mind to coach anybody when it comes to this type of topics. Okay. So always feeling so grateful to be able to use my experience to help other women, especially because this is the number one thing for Hispanic and Latino communities.
Yeah.
We always feel like, oh my God, this is part of our cultural, ways. Oh, the macho man, that story that's already gone, long time gone ago. And the good thing is that this era right now, you know, is empowering more women because now women are doing many things that women didn't do many years
Yep.
ago.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that really works on our favor. But listen, still, there is still something that is not clicking in many women because
Yep.
we always kind of grab into the love line. And I'm not saying that you don't supposed to love, but I guess there's something that people don't understand about love. So love is when you respect someone, when you really empower that person, when you want the best for that person. But in our culture, love can be like, oh, you have to take whatever because you're love and you have a, your relationship or your marriage and you have to stick with it. No, stick with
Mm.
it doesn't mean that you have to take whatever and you have to, get abused or let that person to diminish you to the worst. No. Okay. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
need to refine love, especially in our culture, because I think that's something that, I didn't have. And maybe there's still something around there. And when I said that, sadly, where I grew up, when I say grew up because I came very young to my community, the community of Lawrence, sadly, there's like a lot of abuses and death caused from domestic violence in Lawrence, and I feel
Oh,
very bad about that. And I think that we need to have more shows and more
Oh,
information out there.
yes.
no, I
You know,
agree. And that's why we started this because we want to, we want to talk about the emotions, the real stuff, and not just, like no one, we see you, you're constantly smiling. You're a professional. You are a successful mother with four amazing daughters, whom I personally know as well. And they're all amazing. Like, no one knows about the story. Do you know what I'm saying? But we're here to like share that story, to share
Yes.
your story, to
thank
highlight,
you.
like, hey, she is who she is today because of all the past that made
Yeah.
Yes,
her who she is today.
yes. And again, nothing is impossible. You can go through a situation and breaking from that pattern
Yeah.
is not going to put you back. It's going to make you move forward.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that you go through in life that maybe you don't understand it in that moment, please Don't let that defeat you. We are here in this world. It's supposed
Mm-hmm.
to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you go through things, but don't let those things to make you go back. Always move forward because there's a
Yes.
lot out there for you. You have the opportunities, you have the charismas. We can do anything.
Yeah,
We have the capacity. God
Yes.
created us, all of us women, able to do many things. And yes, sometimes we weren't out.
that's awesome. We're almost at time, Belkis. Again, thank you for stripping the not stripping, like but stripping over the layers of
Oh
onions.
yeah,
I know
I
you'll
can
be
stay
happy
here
to
for
do that,
hours. And remember, I can stay here for
It's
hours.
not the
I
time.
really feel so glad. Sorry, so glad, and I'm flattered by all of you having the courage to start this program and also trying to help others. That's my mission in this world too, to help, because my first test was with my four daughters and I accomplished that. You know what that means? I still have a lot to do in this world with many people, many women, many others. So I'm here for a while. So stay tuned because we need to talk
Yay!
about nutrition. Don't forget that.
Eh, I do want to say one thing, Belkis, that I learned during this podcast is that you did something amazing and you taught a lot and your daughters learned. They learned so much that today they are professionals. They are working hard. They are doing what they love and they learned from you.
Yeah.
So you are the best teacher they could have ever in life.
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
and I think that's all of you because your willingness and this phrase that you said that nothing is impossible, it's true and it's because of you. So
Thank
love
you.
you, Belkis.
I
We
love
love
you
you
all.
so
Thank
Love
much.
you
you.
for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much.
Thank you for having me. And I know that we're going to meet again and I'm going to continue helping
Yes,
others in
you
many
will.
ways.
You will,
Thank you.
Yes,
Belkis. We love you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
love
you.
you. Bye.
Good night. Good night,
Until next
Good night.
time.
everybody. Good night,
Bye.
everybody.